Hey guys, and welcome to the Dads in Business podcast today. And on today's episode, we have AJ Wilson, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm AJ Wilson. I'm 33, 4 kids. We run a timber business with my dad. We got a beautiful fiance and just living life, man.
Yeah. So you got your kids play some travel baseball like the rest of us do.
Yeah, Dallas, our second oldest boy, he plays for the Southern Indiana Panthers. It's pretty much a Jennings County team. We have a couple kids that are from out of Jennings County, but for the most part, it's all Jennings County kids.
Yeah. So that's a pretty solid team. Noah's on that team, obviously.
Yeah, we're double A ball team as of right now.
Yeah.
I believe that we played a few AAA tournaments last year, maybe, but we bumped up to Double A fairly early, and we won a couple Double A tournaments. And,
Yeah.
the kids get along good, you know. They really have fun.
Yeah.
Play baseball.
Jimmy and I talked about that the last podcast we done. Is the chemistry of baseball teams is super important.
Oh yeah.
So it's nice that you guys have that group of boys that have been playing together primarily, for the most part, just them, right?
Yeah. I mean, Dallas came in late, but I mean they accepted him with open arms, and he fit. It helped that he knew a lot of them.
Right.
But I mean, he was behind the ball as far as baseball goes because he had broke his collarbone. Be 3 years ago now, and so he was behind on some fundamentals and stuff, you know.
I got you.
But he's recovered quite well.
Yeah. How many other children you got?
So we have two boys, 2 girls. Dylan just turned 13. Laney's 14. Haven's 6, and Dallas is 11. So.
I got you. Man, I don't know how you do it. I have one daughter,
Oh man,
and look, I can discipline the boys. I don't have no problem with that.
it's tough.
My daughter's tough.
Yes, and what I found out, like, Laney's tough for me.
Yeah.
And we'll get into why. It's not because I don't want to discipline her, but missed out on a lot. It's tough for me.
Right.
You know. But I do keep a pretty good balance of a discipline and all of them, but it is not easy.
Yes, definitely
No.
not. So tell us a little bit about your fiance.
Oh man, Ashley, she is amazing.
Yeah.
We came into each other's lives at a point where we really, we're just over the crap that we had been through before, you know.
Right.
And, she's a hard worker, a great mom, and she is really, everybody, you know, it's cliche, my better half, but she truly is.
Yeah.
You know?
And Cassie's my better half. I wouldn't be able to do most of the stuff that I do, or be as organized with those things that I am if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, and I mean, they say a man's only as strong as a woman that stands beside him. So
Yeah.
I see some truth to that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
A lot of it.
Well, so let's just kind of start with your life, man. I was on the way in, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he was asking me who I was having today, and I told him about you and just us growing up. And obviously our paths didn't cross a ton when we was younger, but just your story, you know, we'll get into it, but you know, you dealt with addiction and a few other things, and so I don't know many people who have battled in one addiction, let alone battled one and stayed in the environment that they was from.
Yeah.
And so I think your story is kind of unique in that aspect. You know, I have a close family member that deals with addiction, and we had, thankfully, he moved away, and
Right.
because he moved away, he's been much better.
Yeah.
Whereas if he stayed, he wouldn't be. So,
Yeah, and I used to believe that. I mean, I truly did. I thought, and I did move away for 2 or 3 years up north, but it's a lot of it has to do with just me for one, you move away and you don't know anybody,
Right.
which can be a good thing.
Right.
But I mean, you could put me, if I was in that life, you could put me in the middle of a city anywhere in this country, and I would find
what you want.
what I wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a mindset, but at the same time, I mean, I get why people move away, but I was just too stubborn. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it where I'm comfortable, because
That's true.
you know what I mean. That's
Yeah.
my family. I mean,
Yeah, and it's hard to be away from family.
yeah,
I'm a big family guy, so for me, not being close to my family was difficult.
yes,
So I could see how moving away would make things a little more hard in that aspect. But
Well, another thing is you need family to keep you in check.
well, absolutely.
You know, if you move away, you got a whole new set. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
You got a whole new set of people that you can fool, that you can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, your
They
family's
don't-
kind
they
of used to
aren't-
it.
They aren't hip to your
Your family knows what you've been
deceiving, you know.
doing. Right.
So, in a way, I mean, addicts can move away and they can pull the wool over your eyes again because you don't see them every day.
Right.
For one, for two, they can just, I don't know, have their cake and eat it too. They can move away, have people believe that they're doing well,
Right.
and be pulling the wool over new people's eyes in another place.
I never thought that I'd be able to sit here and tell you that I can tell when my cousin is doing drugs, or when he was and when he wasn't.
Yeah.
Just simply by looking at his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And not because they're dilated or anything like that, but just because just the look in them
Yeah.
was totally different.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, it feels like the further away from it I get, the harder it is for me to tell.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I have people that still deal with it that are in my family and close to me, and they fooled me, and I'm like, I didn't think I could ever be fooled.
Right. I've done all that.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's a good thing that I don't even recognize it anymore.
Absolutely.
But so for me, when I was, I'm trying to think how to wrap this all together. So early on, when I was a sophomore in high school,
Yep.
I mean, I started off, drinking, just normal kid stuff,
Right. Like all of us did. Well,
A
not
family
just
member,
all of us.
a family member of mine had introduced me to the fact that my dad, he had chronic back pain, degenerative disc disease. He lived with it for over 10 to 15 years, self-employed, no insurance.
Right.
Just had to manage the pain instead of getting it fixed. And through a family member, I found out about about his pain pills, and I had no idea what they were.
Right.
That's how the pain pills got introduced into my life. And I mean, I was a wrestler. I played baseball some in high school, a football player. I was the treasurer of student council my freshman year. And then this is my sophomore year, and long story short, I started selling them in school, and my best friend at the time had
Was you taking them then or just selling them?
So this is what I found out later. I was taking them, but initially I wasn't.
Okay.
And what I found was through my childhood, I had a fear of abandonment. And what I found out through IOP, and this wasn't until I was 30.
What's
was,
IOP?
Intensive outpatient.
Okay.
It's like a weekly class you go to learn about yourself and addiction.
That's didn't know.
No, it's through like Centerstone, something like
I
that.
got you. You know what I don't like about, and we'll get back to your story, but you know what I had one run-in with Centerstone. My cousin Matt is who I refer to whenever I talk about all this, and he come to me and he's like, hey, I'm ready to get clean. I'm ready. I haven't been ready, but I am now, and you're the only one that will help me. He's like, take me wherever we gotta go right now. And so we went to Centerstone, because I didn't know where to go. I've never dealt with that kind of stuff before. So we went to Centerstone, and they're like, okay, well, does he have insurance? No, he didn't at the time. So I went through and got him Medicaid, which took a couple days.
Right.
And then Centerstone, you have to like apply for them, and then they'll try to call you back within 48 hours. Well, this was a Thursday evening, so it was Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning before Centerstone called. And so we lost 7 days of him being ready and wanting to go. And then got everything done. He did his interview with Centerstone. They granted it him, said they had a bed for him, and I was set to take him the following Monday. So this was like Tuesday, Wednesday. We got everything squared away.
Right.
So all I had to do was get him from Tuesday to Monday, which,
It's
hey,
a long time.
that's a long time
Yeah.
in the addict world.
It for sure is.
And so he ended up meeting somebody, and in that process, he come to me, he's like, "You're gonna be so mad at me." I said, "But I don't want to go to treatment." He's like, "I can do it on my own."
Oh yeah.
I said, "Look, man, if you could do it on your own, you would have already,
Right.
because you tell me you're ready all the time, but you're either A, you're really not ready, or you can't do it on your own. And it's okay to admit that you can't and go get the help that you need." And because of that week and a half process, man, he went down another black hole for another year and a half. Now he's good. Now he's clean. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He met a girl. She has a daughter, and that really, I think, helped. And he lives down in like New Albany.
So that's good.
He's doing well.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Ooh, amen to that.
So where were we?
We was just talking. You was talking about Centerstone. The outpatient was a Centerstone program.
Is that what?
The IOP.
Oh, I found out through IOP that. So this is crazy, and I'm one of the only people that have dealt with this that has ever put it in this way. But I was addicted to being that dude.
The person everybody went to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I was ever addicted to the drug.
Yeah.
And then later on, the addiction to the drug came as well, obviously. But I was more addicted. Like, if I couldn't get it, I knew somebody that could.
Right.
But as far as, I didn't figure that out until way later on, that my fear of abandonment I needed attention. So as crazy as it sounds, that's how I got my attention.
Yeah.
And and then the addiction took over for years and years and years. But so let's see, where was I before I started talking about the IOP? Anyways, I went through. I ended up getting. I was selling them in school and got kicked out of school. They wanted to charge me as an adult at 16, dealing controlled substance on school grounds.
I remember when you got kicked out of school.
Yeah, and it was
kind of a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
Well, it may have been huge for you, but just like in our community.
Well, it was it had
right
that I knew of. It had
he was the first.
Yes.
That I know of.
And they wanted to make an example out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, they really wanted to charge me as an adult. Luckily, my dad, even though he's severely mad, he still hired me a good lawyer, and I was able to keep it in juvenile court.
Right.
But I truly believe if I would have been anybody else that had a checkered past and caused problems in the school, they would have made an example out of that person. But because I was a student athlete and had never been in any trouble, I was able to keep it in juvenile court. But thank God.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So years after that, I just continued spiraling. It's pretty much the same story, you know. I just continued until tried to get clean, in and out of rehabs, just the same cliche of an addict life.
Right.
And in the process, I lost my brother. He overdosed. He was only 19. 2 uncles that were under 25. My best friend, he overdosed. I mean, it's just countless people. And I struggled with that. Why they're gone, And I did what they did a million times over.
Right.
But I'm still here.
Right.
And that's why I enjoy, like we talked before I came, you know, about am I comfortable talking about it? Like, that's part of my life, you know.
No,
And
it is.
if you don't do anything with it, then what was it for?
Right. No, it absolutely is. And it's good that you're willing to share it, because I think that, hey, look, some crazy way, maybe it helps you too, right? But
Oh, yeah.
surely that there'll be somebody that this will cross, and then it'll be like, man, maybe I should.
Yeah.
If it helps one person, it was worth telling the story.
Yeah, and I got the opportunity to go into the jail 2 weeks ago and give my testimony to people in the same seats that I used to sit in.
Yeah.
And a lot of them I knew, and I just want to be a light, man.
Yeah.
I just want to be a light. Because I mean, I wasn't. It was up until I was 30 that I was living that way.
Yeah, and I struggle with. I'm not saying that the judicial system is terrible, okay, but once you are labeled that,
Yeah.
it's very difficult.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate.
It's very difficult.
But it is possible.
It is possible.
Because, I mean, when I got out and I started doing well and people started taking me seriously, I mean, our sheriff took me to breakfast.
Yeah,
Uh,
I heard he went to court for you too here recently.
yeah. I
So
mean,
that's the kind of stuff
yeah.
that you want out of our local police department is.
Yes. And I see him out. I mean, literally, the last time I got in trouble, the cop that ran CIs that were trying to go undercover on me, that same cop had me come to his house after I straightened up and clear out for his pole barn. My kids played with his kids while he was at work.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's not recovery, I don't know what it is.
No, absolutely. And I think it's important that in some crazy way, man, that life comes full circle and you get that opportunity.
Yes.
The people that seen you at the worst still took time and built value in you.
Right, and I think that's why another reason why I wanted, if I was going to do it, I was going to do it in my hometown.
Yeah.
Because I was the kid that parents wanted their kids to hang out with.
Right.
I was a good kid.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't say all of them, and I still run into people who said this person said this about you, and I used to worry about that, but I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, the people that matter that are in my everyday life, they're back, and they know that I'm back, and that's all that matters to me.
Right.
You know, because what whoever out there thinks doesn't affect me
Right.
anymore. So, but it's been nice. It's been, my chains have been broken.
Yeah.
I mean that 100%. Every family member that I lost have something to do with me now.
Yeah.
And I definitely thought that was out of the question.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when you're going through it, from a family's perspective, thankfully I've never went down the addiction path with drugs. Okay. From a family side of it, though, it's awful on your family. It is. And people think, oh, well, whenever they get clean and everything's all good, that just goes away. That doesn't. It takes serious conversations. There's a lot that goes back into rebuilding those bridges.
Yes, time.
It takes time.
A lot of time. I mean, because I'd had stints where I would get clean for a while,
Yeah.
and then they were just waiting on me to fail again,
Mhm.
because that was what I did.
Yep.
And so, since it's been so long now, I think that there's still sore subjects. There's still things that certain family members and I have to work through. But I think time will take care of that too.
Yeah.
I think it's just the more time that I get in, the better each relationship's going to get.
Right.
Because it took a long time to mess the relationship up. It's going to
Yeah.
take a long time to clean it up. So, but I own that.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what you told me. You said, hey, it's my life and I own it. I've done this. and now I'm going to take the rest of my life and fix it.
Right.
And I think that's important. I think it's important that you own up to your end of it. And I'll also tell you that I think as much as some of the family will say washing their hands of an individual that's addicted, they feel like that's the right thing. And I think to a certain extent it is. Because you do at some point have to stop enabling them, but you shouldn't stop being there for them. And that's where the struggle lied for me.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. That is what it took for me.
Yeah.
When everybody through my addiction was always like, I'm gonna quit talking to you. I'm gonna be done with you. But then they would help me in this way, or help me in that way, or be there for me in this way. But then it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like then I didn't get no calls on my birthday or messages or Merry Christmas. I mean, you're sitting alone, surrounded by junkies in a trap house on Thanksgiving and on Christmas, and not a single family member reaches out to you.
Yeah.
And that's what I truly believe that's part of
What helped you?
what helped me,
Was the complete cutoff?
was the complete cutoff.
Yeah.
And I'm going through it right now. I mean, I still have a brother that's in active addiction.
Right.
And I can't cut him off.
It's difficult, right?
I helped create that monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And it is very, very hard for me.
Yeah. Cutting families off is very difficult.
Yes. I mean, me and that dude held each other to stay warm
Right.
in the gutters together, you know. And now it's, I'm trying to lead by example,
Right.
but it's just not, he's not ready.
And that's, for me, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
What helps you get ready? I think that's maybe different for everybody. And
Oh, yeah.
maybe more not, that is the whole cutting everybody off thing, or everybody cutting you off. But until you are mentally ready, man, it won't happen.
No.
And that's with anything in life. That's not just addiction. You have to mentally be ready for whatever it is you want to make a change in. And
Yeah, or it doesn't come, right?
right, you can't say, hey, I'm gonna make this change, but I'm gonna wait till Monday. Monday I'm gonna start it.
Yeah.
No, you gotta start today.
Yep. Right now.
If you stumble till Monday, that's fine, but you have to make that decision today.
Well, it's just like what you said with your cousin, right? Give
Yeah.
him 7 days, and
Yeah.
then his mind was changed.
Yep.
That's why if your mindset's there, you got to do it now.
Yes.
But I don't know. I hope that he gets it together. But he has some trauma and some stuff that I think he hides from, and it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
I just hope he makes it through.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm here,
Right.
and I just hope that he makes it to say the same things that I do now. You know.
Right. How many? I don't know the right. I don't know that there's a right way to ask this. How many times were you incarcerated? How many times were you out there strung out and wish that you would have been picked up?
I went to jail when I was 18. I would say at least for a long period of time, probably 6-7 times, you know.
Yeah.
For more than, but if you count like the 48-hour and go on, probably 10.
Yeah.
I can't say that I ran from my warrants a lot.
Right.
And I can't say that I ever was like, I hope I go to jail today.
Right.
You know, but I definitely was ready for it to be over.
You was tired of running.
Especially this last time.
Yeah.
You know. I was just over it. And I think that's when you get tired of dealing with your own shit.
Right.
That's when you really, and jail was necessary. And it doesn't have to be jail, but some sort of clean slate is necessary if
Right.
you want to get clean. If I was out there using today, and I said, oh, tomorrow I'm going to quit. Your brain doesn't work that way.
Right.
You need time for your brain to come back to clear thinking,
Yeah.
to be able to make the right decisions, to to stay clean. You're not anybody who. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it was for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Without that time, I would still be. Even though I want to get clean.
Right.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have.
No, because the physical addiction is just. It's physical and mental, so like you have the physical withdrawals, but where it really hurts is upstairs.
Yeah.
Like, why am I sitting here feeling like this when I can just
I can make this go away.
Yeah, and that's the toughest thing, you know.
What do you think? I know we kind of said that everybody cutting you off, but what do you think if there's somebody out there that's struggling? What do you think that it takes to get past it?
So this last time, I keep saying that, it's not like a broken record, but the last time I was incarcerated, all throughout my years of going and getting locked up and trying to stay clean, all the people that mattered, that you should have been listening to, okay?
Right.
They said, if you get out and you do these things, you have a great chance of beating this, of staying on the right path.
And I'm assuming that those are like people that come to the jail and talk to you? Or I'm
I
assuming
mean,
you're not talking about family.
Sometimes family, but mainly because, usually when I was locked up, my family didn't talk to me still.
Yeah.
You go through that whole time, the whole bit, and you weren't hearing from nobody.
Yeah.
Usually. But a lot of times it's COs. There are people that work at the jail that do care.
Right.
You know.
There's a lot of good people
Yeah.
in there in general.
And there's a lot of them that they would be like, "Wow, you just need to do this, do this, do this." And a lot of times it was counselors and people that came in and tried to talk to you.
Right.
A lot of times it was other inmates, you know. And so that when I got out, I tested it, and the first thing I knew I needed to do was get out of Northland for that first 24, 48, hour time to a week. You need to be away, because that's
Right.
such a pivotal time of your decision-making process. You get out, you're bored, you haven't seen anybody in however long you've been
Right.
locked up. And so I went straight to my grandparents up here in Seymour. And while I was locked up, a guy that I used to work for named Greg Atlanta, he owns a logging company. He had got in trouble for a DUI or something, but he was in there for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And when I was in there, I was a inmate worker, so I would serve food and whatnot. And I seen him. He said, "When you get out of here, if you're serious about doing well, get a hold of me if you want to drag some logs." And so I did. Within 48 hours, I got out. I was out in North Vernon. I called him and said, "I'm ready." Without that man, I would not be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I never looked back, man. I don't do meetings or anything like that. And I'm not saying that they don't help some people, but for one, I don't have time.
Right.
If I feel like I'm slipping, or if I feel like I'll just latch onto a family member.
Right.
Talk to somebody. Don't bottle it up anymore,
Yeah.
But I haven't looked back, man. It's been just little success, accomplishment.
Right.
That's what life takes. And I haven't looked back. It's just been great.
So do you read books or listen to Audible or anything like that?
Listen to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Okay. So I don't remember the book at this very second, but I was listening to a book because I can't sit down and read. If I sit down and read a book, I fall asleep.
Yeah, I can't
So
do it.
I don't know why. I wish I could, because I find I really enjoy it. But so I figured out, okay, so I listen to Audible and I listen to books versus reading them. And I was listening to a book the other day, and it said my goal is to not be 100% better tomorrow. It's to be 1% better. And in 30 days, I'm now 30% better. And in 100 days, I'm 100% better. So for me, at first, whenever I first started the podcast and just my other business, that's where it was for me. Is I wanted to be better. I wanted to be 0 to 100 now.
Yeah.
And so hearing that, it finally stuck with me that, okay, just worry about the 1%. Don't worry about everything else. Just be 1% better today than you were yesterday.
Right.
And then it'll stack up. And then you'll be like, holy crap. Just like you said, little success, achievement.
Yes.
And I think that for me, just hearing that shifted some things for me, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to work for
Greg.
And now, did your dad and you have the log company prior to that? Or did you guys start it after that?
So, growing up, I started packing my dad's gas and oil in the woods when I was 12.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had Jeff Wilson Logging. That's how he raised us on that company, you know.
Right.
When I was 15, I started running our skidder, which is, for those that don't know what a skidder is, it's what drags the logs from after you cut them to the log yard so you can cut them up and put them on the truck. And I was hooked. I mean, 15 years old, you know, up on this big machine.
Yeah, that thing's huge.
Yeah.
They're not little.
Yeah. And I was hooked. And I've joked with my dad later on, before we started the new company, he said, you know, I told him I'm going to cut trees. That's what I'm going to do. It's what I enjoy. He's like, because I did electrical work for a couple of years.
Yeah.
He's like, I really wish you'd get back into doing electrical work. And I said, well, you probably should have took me in the woods when I was 12.
Right.
Because once you get the sawdust in your blood, you can't get it out. I mean, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
You know.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
I don't cut wood on the scale you guys cut wood, because I only cut wood just to heat the house.
Yeah.
I could not imagine waking up every morning and going and doing what you do.
Yeah. I love it, man.
I'm glad you do, because there's just no way that I could.
Now, but here's the thing. I don't enjoy cutting firewood. You know.
And I guess maybe the difference and again, I don't know the whole tree cutting process of what you guys do, but you guys aren't chunking them up into 12-inch or 14, 16, 18, 24-inch pieces. You're doing sections.
Yeah, so it just depends on the buyer, where the logs are going, what species they are, how clean they are. There's a lot. And that's the part of the business I'm still learning.
Yeah.
My dad, he usually takes care of all that, because, I mean, that's where your money's made, is in the log yard.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you cut the wrong tree off at the wrong place, it could easily be anywhere from a couple $100 mistake to a couple thousand, easy.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, for me, I can't, even with cutting wood to burn, I guess I can a little, but I cannot stare at a tree and say, oh, that's a poplar tree. Or that's a sassafras, or just whatever, right? I mean, there's some that I can, like big oak trees, that kind of stuff, right? But I don't know them all, and there's no way that, I shouldn't say there's no way, I don't take the time to learn them.
yeah, I mean, it's what my life revolves around, right?
Yeah.
I can't look at a car and say, that's a whatever year car, and I'm sure you can.
Yeah, for the most part.
You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
I can't do that.
Right.
It's what's familiar to you. But yeah, so Greg, he gave me a shot, man.
Yeah.
And could have easily just I don't know how to say this. I'm trying, I feel like
You can check, if you want to move, I mean, hell, you can move it however you want. That thing
says
moves.
twist.
Huh?
That doesn't twist.
Yeah. Grab the mic
Yeah.
by the base there, and you can turn it right towards you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm trying to get around here where
Yeah, so that's
I
the reason I
can
kind
look
of
at you.
moved this so that I could look at you a little bit better.
it's like we're having a conversation, but there's just this big mic in my face.
Right. Oops.
So yeah, Greg, he gave me a chance when nobody else would, man.
Yeah.
He could have easily looked at me and said, you know, I don't want you around my stuff. But,
Right.
You know, or I have a lot of people that get a hold of me for a job. And this is why I have more respect for him for giving me a chance, because, I mean, we have $10,000 worth of chainsaws.
Right.
I don't want people to see where that stuff's sold, because my thinking is,
As a junkie.
they fall off, the first thing they're going to grab is your chainsaws.
Yeah.
You know, and I have people that get a hold of me for a job, and it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, we've been, like right now, we're really slow, you know.
It's easy to tell people no when you're slow.
When you're slow, but when you actually need help,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me, now that we run a company, it made me have more respect for him for giving me a chance. But he could easily just looked at me for even who I was at that time, because I hadn't proven anything to anybody.
Right.
I went and did some jail time. So as far as anybody knew, I was still that same person that went in.
Right.
But I knew in my mind and in my heart that if I was going to do it, it was going to be this time.
Yeah.
In 4 years, I haven't looked back, but excuse me. He told me to come drag logs, man. Put me up on his couch. You know, he told me he was going to drug test me, and I was fine with that. And then, after I worked for him for a while, he had a trailer he rented me. It was my first time ever living on my own.
Yeah.
And I mean, on my own, not with a female, you know, no roommate. It was just me.
Right.
And this is when I really started to realize that I was really changing. Because that, like I said, I had a fear of abandonment.
Yeah.
So it was tough for me to ever be by myself. Even when I was a kid, my parents would tell you, my brother could play by himself all day long. I had to have somebody to play with. I couldn't be alone. And it was great. Living on my own, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't affect me as far as my sobriety goes at all. And that's when I really started, my brain was getting reprogrammed.
I was just checking something.
But yeah, without Greg, I wouldn't be where I'm at. He put me through cutting school. He sent me to cutting school to learn to cut trees. My dad never showed me cutting trees because he wanted different for me.
Right.
So Greg's the one that put me through cutting classes and everything. And yeah, and the rest is history. My dad opened up. My dad was at Forester.
Okay.
He wasn't in the logging side of things anymore. He was just marking and selling trees. And finally I was like, I cut trees and you sell trees. What are we doing?
Right.
You know? And I was about to join the union. I was about to join the union for Milestone, and luckily I said that at the right time, and he's like, I think we're gonna do it. So
Yeah.
and man, we've had 3 great years. Every year, well, 2.5. It'll be 3 this summer, but I didn't think that it would this year could top last year, but it did.
Yeah.
And it's just been awesome. You know, me and my dad, I didn't speak to him for 4 years, and now it's kind of helped us in our relationship, you know, because we're with each other every day.
Right, which some people would think that would make it harder because you're with them all the time, but it forces you to not necessarily get along, but it forces you to talk.
Yeah, and my dad's a great dad, but communication is,
right.
You know, he will on his terms.
Right.
But as far as just small talk and stuff, he's a real serious person, you know, which I love him for, and I find myself acting more and more like him every day.
Right.
But it's been great. It's, you know, if you can work for your dad, you can work for anybody.
Right. Usually business and family don't go well together, but
Yeah.
every once in a while it works out.
Yeah. And I mean, it's helped. It's just me and him, you know.
Right.
I like for my brother Shane. I'd like for him to get into it with us, but he helps run brewers and
Right.
all that, but he helps his son.
Yeah.
It's nice when he can get out there and, haul logs or whatever on the weekend.
What does it take? I mean, what does it take to do what you do? Run me through like what your schedule is for a day.
It ain't no 9 to 5.
Right.
Okay. My dad, we're grown, right? I have 4 kids.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things that he does after hours, and because he wants me to enjoy the time with my family.
Right.
And there's going to come a point in time where that's me and I'm doing all that extra stuff, but for right now it's him.
Right.
And it makes me feel bad. There's a lot of times where he'll be out there and I'm like,
Yeah, but he's at a different stage in his life than you are.
right.
And I think he probably realizes that, and that's why he does it.
Yeah, but he does it without saying anything,
Right, no,
like it's
I
tough when you're
understand.
going to town to go get something to eat or do something fun, and you drive by our lot there, and he's out there on a loader.
Right.
Or
You're like, shit, maybe I should turn around.
yeah, or just tell me, what are you doing?
Right.
But that's what he does, and that's what it takes to run a business. It's not,
Yeah, hey, anybody that thinks that, hey, I'm going to go into business for myself and I'm going to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that's going to be it, you're full of shit.
No.
It does
Not if
not
you're the
work
main
that
man.
way, and especially in the beginning, doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I mean, he sacrificed a lot, him and my stepmom, a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of their relationship. I mean, there's still points in time where they don't hardly see each other through a whole day.
Yeah.
Because we get done cutting timber and hauling timber, and he's going to look at more timber, going to do this, work on that. I mean, being a logger, you have to you got to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Some days you might be welding and mechanic. Some days you're cutting timber. Some days you're fixing hydraulic lines.
Right.
Hauling logs. You got to some days I'm bush hogging up at our lot.
Right.
I mean, it's everything. You don't just call somebody, you do it yourself.
Right.
And we're slowly getting to the point where, so we started off with an old machine. We did buy a skid steer new
Yeah. You
Which is
bought a
how-
newer skidder too, didn't you?
just recently. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. We're getting to the point where we're not having to work on the stuff as much,
Right.
which is nice.
Yeah, no downtime helps
Yeah.
a ton.
And that new skidder that we just got, I mean, without a doubt in my mind, it put us ahead 2 jobs.
Do you have the old one still too?
We have one of them. Yeah, the one that we started with, it kind of partial it. We call her Bertha.
Yeah.
She's big. And it's paid for. It's a cable machine. And our new machine is a grapple.
Okay.
And there's a lot of jobs where, you need a cable machine if it's steep or
Right.
whatnot. And I'm pretty sure she's lighter than the new skidder.
Yeah.
You know.
Now you guys have the capability to move those from job site to job site by yourself?
We hire it out. We hire it done.
Do you?
It's hard for we get a lot of our jobs. We have a straight truck
Yeah.
that hauls timber, and
Yeah, no,
a lot
I
of
followed it
companies
down the
have.
highway sometimes.
Yeah, sorry.
I always
sir.
pass you.
But there's a lot of times where you can't get a semi in and out of some of these places.
Right.
And a lot of companies just have semis, and between Dad doing it so long and all that, also another reason we get some of the jobs we get is because we have a straight truck. So it's hard for us to justify having a semi just to haul our equipment. I mean, the insurance, everything,
Right.
just for it to be sitting around a lot of times is. But I think we'll get there.
Right.
I think we'll get to a point where we have a big truck, so we can haul our own stuff. But just right now, we're still building.
Right.
You know?
And sometimes in the beginning you have to do those you have to outsource certain things
Yeah.
you can't have everything. Sometimes you just have to outsource some stuff.
Right. And I heard you guys talking about that the other day about
Yeah.
wanting to have the money to have everything right now.
Yeah, so I'm reading the new book that I just started listening to today is The Power of Broke. And Jimmy and I touched base on this last week. Look, when you don't have no money and you're trying to go into business, or you're in business and it's struggling, you have to get super creative on how to become a problem solver.
Yeah.
How to find problems, because you have to find them, and then how to solve them.
Yes.
And I think being broke keeps you agile, for lack of a better word. Just it forces you to think outside the box. Jimmy and I he wants to start a vape shop. Him and I was kind of talking about that. He's like, I don't have the money, and then so we jumped into,
Yeah.
well, what about this? And it's because I listened to another book that kind of taught me.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't a book, it was a podcast. Or it wasn't a podcast, it was TikTok. I was on TikTok and I was listening to a guy on there. And man, just little bitty things here and there that I pick up from listening to other people, which is why this came about.
Right.
Because I was like, okay, if I can do this and I can get to talk to other people, little bitty pieces of nuggets will be left in our conversation. And then as I go back and re-listen to them later on, I'll be like, hey, there's that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't register. It depends on what you're going through, or what the situation is. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy listening to, because I read enough in jail that I don't really need to do books.
Right.
To be honest.
I don't want to read. I cannot, like I said, I cannot sit down and read a book. I go to sleep. I find it very boring, and primarily because, and I think that's contributed to just because I'm not good at sitting still.
Yeah.
I'm not good at idle time. I'm not good at.
I am for about 20 minutes.
That's, hey, 20, 30 minutes is the max I'm good for.
Yeah.
And then it's, look, we got to go do
Especially
something.
in the morning, man. Like on a weekend, I get up and I'm like, I get up, have my coffee, and it's like my body's like, all right, where we gotta go.
Right.
You know, and I cannot sit, even if it's just going and doing something for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
just to get, I gotta go first thing in the morning.
Yeah, Cass and I was talking about that this morning. I had gotten up, I took a shower, and like whenever I take a shower, in the beginning of the shower, I can stand in there and be under the water and relax, whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm done with everything else, all right, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yep, me too.
It's time to get to work.
Yeah.
And so, in my mornings, some people say, "Hey, wake up at 5. You know, take a 2-hour morning routine." I do not do that.
No.
I'm about 45 minutes, start to finish. Get up, take a shower, get dressed, get the kids dressed, and get out the door.
Yep.
Once I'm dressed and ready, we are not staying at the house to do anything else.
Right.
It is time to go get busy.
Yeah. And that's, I get up, I have 2 cups of coffee, warm the truck up, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't sit around and watch. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't. But so you were asking about a normal day.
Yeah. So, like, what's a normal day? Let's say that you're going to go cut wood that day. What does that kind of day consist of for you?
So it starts the night before.
Okay.
The night before, I'll go out to my barn, sharpen saws, make sure we got fuel, drinks, everything for the next day.
Which, by the way, you posted a picture of, you got all your saw stuff set up at your new place,
Yeah.
right? And you have a Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpener.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been looking for one. I couldn't figure out where to buy them at. I hadn't done a ton of research, and I saw you post that picture, and I realized that was made from Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. So
And
I went and done that?
I want like $35 or something.
Yeah, I think I paid $40 for it.
Yeah.
And I pay $20. I have 2 saws, so it cost me $20 to take it and have it sharpened total for both of them. So I'm like,
It paid for itself already.
oh yes, yeah. We've already used it a couple times, and it's been great.
Yeah, you just want to have it on a 25-degree angle. That's what for my cut down saws. 25-degree angle on each tooth. But I only use that. So a lot of times especially we have guys that don't know how to hand file.
I don't know how to hand file.
So if we have guys that are in the yard and they struggle with that, the only way you're going to learn to hand file is just do it.
Yeah.
And trial and error.
Right.
But a lot of times they jack a chain up so bad.
Right.
I need that grinder to get it back
To where you can.
to where you can work with it, you know. But I love my workbench. I stood there and I never had my own barn, you know.
Right.
And I knew that I needed a place to work on our saws, because usually what I would do was get up earlier, go first thing in the morning and start sharpening chainsaws and everything.
Right.
Because I would love to do it right as soon as, because it was all at Dad's, because I lived in town and I wasn't taking all that stuff to town. I didn't even take a work truck to town.
Right.
And so I would get up early, go hand file everything, get everything ready before we left for the woods.
Right.
Now, I would love to do it as soon as we got done at the end of the day, but when you've been cutting timber all day, the last thing you want to do is go file on some chainsaws some more.
Right.
Before you go home. You want to go home.
Right.
So now it's nice, just after I eat dinner or whatever, I just go out, take my time, turn on a podcast or some music, and get everything ready for the next day.
Yeah.
So that way in the morning I just go out, fire the truck up, and let it warm up while I'm getting dressed and hit the road. Get to the woods, we'll, if I'm going to cut, I mean, there's a lot of times we'll be going to the yard or we'll have different things to do, but if we're just midsummer, it's dry, we're cutting timber, head to the woods, fire everything up, let it warm up for about 20 minutes, and then I just go back and start cutting. Usually in the summertime, I don't take lunch because it's hot. That's one of the best things about calling the shots yourself.
Right.
We have the ability to say, okay, we're going to get to the woods before daylight.
Right.
And we're going to just work till 2 when it's the heat of the summer, you know.
Right.
We'll work till 2 till we get too hot and head to the house.
Right.
And so a lot of times in the summer, I don't eat anything. It's hot.
Right.
And I'm the type of person, I will, even in the wintertime, my dad, they like to stop and eat lunch. If they don't stop me, I will not stop. I will stay back in the woods all day long.
Right.
Until I'm ready to come out. Because it's hard to get remotivated after lunch.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you eat anything accidentally that's heavy.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard once you're hungry and you want to eat something heavy.
Right.
I do better if I take a bologna sandwich and just eat a sandwich and just roll on. But, so yeah, and if we have the help, they'll be cutting the logs up as we're dragging them out. If we don't, like a lot of times it's just me and Dad. We'll cut till the yard's full. I'll come out of the woods. We'll cut them up, and then he'll sort them, and we'll fill it up again.
Yeah.
We work that way a lot. It's hard to keep people in the woods. Everybody deals with that, but it's hard to find people that want to work hard.
Yeah.
You almost have
do
to have
hard work.
Yeah, and here's the thing: there are plenty of people out there. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But most of them already have jobs.
Right.
It's hard to find a new person that wants to work hard. That you almost have to find somebody like me. Who I cannot sit inside. I can't do a factory job.
Right.
If I had to provide for my family, don't get me wrong, I would.
Right.
It would be my last choice.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I could not. I've worked jobs in the past. I worked at Cummins for 3.5 years, and to have to clock in and go do the exact same job.
Like a robot.
I couldn't do it.
Dude.
I come home and I was like, I'm gonna go find something else to do.
Yeah.
This isn't. I was making great money.
Yeah.
Right in the terms of on the hour, but it just wasn't for me.
No. And that's what you gotta find for the woods.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that think, oh, I'd love that. Be out in the woods, cutting wood all day.
Right. Yeah, for about 3 days.
Usually, it takes a certain breed, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I know I couldn't do it. Look, there's just no way in this world that, again, if it was, look, I had to provide, then that's one thing.
Yeah.
I am not going to ever just get up the next morning and say, you know what I want to go do today? I'm going to start a logging company.
Yeah.
Because I have no interest.
Yeah. It's just like, it's necessary.
It is.
Just like the factory jobs are necessary, but it's not for me.
Right.
I can't feel like a robot.
Right.
And there's every job, you have the same goal.
Correct.
But it's a different set of problems. Each tree has a different lean, you have a different place you need to put it.
I think that would be the fun aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
Is figuring out how to wedge to drop it where you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think that part would be fun. That'd be the only part.
Yeah.
So, I'm out.
It's the same thing as that door on a hinge over there.
Right.
So the weight on that door is down. right?
Right.
But with that hinge, when you close it, it comes and it swings shut
Right.
because there's a hinge. It's the same thing with a tree. That's all you're doing. If a tree's leaning this way, you want it to go this way, you make your hinge that way, and that weight that's on that side, it'll swing over and go where you want it to go.
Right.
A hinge on a tree works the same way as that hinge right there. A hinge is a hinge. Sounds easy.
It's not.
And some of them are,
You're right.
but it's not the falling of the tree that you got to watch. It's after that.
Yeah.
For about 10 seconds. I mean, most people that get killed, it isn't from the tree that they cut. It's from the trees around it.
Right.
You know, it's dangerous. I mean, you earn your money.
Yeah.
And I pray every morning before I ever stick my saw on a tree.
Yeah.
You know, and got to carry an accidental death policy because, I mean, it's
Right. It's dangerous.
and people try to talk me out of it. Like, my dad even, he wanted me to go do something else, but I could get killed driving home from here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I do live life as when it's my turn, and then I can do. So I'm going to do what I want for the most part, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and in the way that I feel about life at this point, no matter what happens to me,
Right.
addiction didn't get me.
Right.
So I won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's literally how I look at my life. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to. I don't want to go.
Right.
But if I did, it wasn't because had a needle in my arm
Right.
or anything like that.
It's almost like you're living on borrowed time.
Yeah, and I'm living.
Right.
I'm living. I spent, and I've had to set boundaries with people. Like, listen, and I'm talking like family members. Don't call me with your drama.
Yeah.
I lived my life in such chaos for so long that I don't live with drama and chaos now on purpose. And I will
Yep.
cut you out if I have to, because I'm free.
So for me this year, one of the things that everybody does, New Year's resolutions. I kind of look at years as different than everybody else, but what I want to accomplish the most, we'll say in this year, is just personal growth. But when it comes to friendships or people that are involved in my circle, I want people who make deposits. I don't want people who only take withdrawals.
Oh yeah.
If you're not benefiting or helping me get to where I want to go or whatever, then I don't want you. I don't have time for it. I've got some things that I want to do, some goals that I'm chasing. I don't have time for people who all they're doing is bringing drama. All they're doing is taking from me.
It is so. It's pointless.
Yeah.
It is a waste of energy. I truly believe that being mad and being like, I'm not mad at anybody. I don't have any grudges, because it's just what for?
Right.
It's a waste of time and energy that you could put somewhere else.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that negativity just brings that. It puts you in a bad mood or whatever.
Yeah.
And not even what they're talking about. It's the fact that they're coming to you with the drama. It drives me nuts. It makes me mad.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like you said, it's not even what they were talking about. It's just Jesus, why did you even come talk to me about that?
Like, who cares?
Right. What you're talking about is irrelevant.
Yes. Like, what does it honestly matter?
Right. What do you want in 2023 for your company? What are your guys' goals for your company?
I would like, obviously, you want to continue to grow.
Right.
I would like to take on more responsibility and take some burden off my dad.
Okay.
That's my. He carries it well. He would never tell you that, for the most part, that he's overwhelmed or anything like that.
Right.
And he wants me to spend time. We have baseball in the summer.
Yes.
Our weekends are full, and a lot of times the things that you need to do to keep the business going happens on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I would like to step up and help him more, but I'm gonna have to make him just
Right.
tell me what I need to do. it's not something he's just gonna pass on.
Right.
Because this is not how he's built. But I just want to continue to grow, man, and just I'd like for my brother to come in and help us more.
A little more.
And I want to be there for that. Just spend time growing the business with my family. Like I said, he comes and helps on the weekends some, but
Right.
I just like to. It's the way it's full circle, man. It's the way
Right.
it was supposed to be.
Right.
Until I went off into addiction land and didn't come back for years. Like that's how it was supposed to be. Me, him, and Dad logging.
Right.
That's how I always looked at it. So anytime that we can get together and do that, it's like things come in full circle.
Yeah. If you had, if 2023 and you could add people, like you could find a couple trustworthy employees, do you think that at some point it'd be nice to be able to not necessarily completely step back, but have 10 guys that work for you that cut all the logs, and you and your dad kind of just get to not hang back's a terrible word, because as an entrepreneur or business guy, I couldn't imagine 100% just turning what you do over to somebody else.
I don't know.
But do you think that if you had a good group of guys, or good crew in general, that it would allow you to step back and focus on expanding the business and growing it more? And do you think that you'll ever try to chase that side of it?
So I would never want 10 employees. Doing what we do, I believe a business can grow too much.
Right.
We didn't start this to make a huge get rich. We didn't start it. We did it so me and my dad could make a living.
Right.
That's it. The next step in our business, as far as anything like that goes, is my dad stepping away.
I gotcha.
Me taking over, and him sitting back, enjoying life, retiring.
Right.
That's the only goal that I have when it comes to that. I can't imagine stepping back and letting it's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
No, absolutely.
For one, I want to know what to do with myself.
Yes. So I was listening to, again, I don't remember what it was, a short film or something, but they was talking about how, like, whenever you first get into business, and everybody's business goals are different, okay? What my business goals are to what your business goals are. Everything's going to be different, right? Because we have different things we want out of life, which is fine.
Right.
But, like, for my business, and the reason I was listening to this was because they were talking about going from the entrepreneur to the CEO. Mm-hmm. So when you are the entrepreneur and you're grinding to get things going, which is what you guys have been doing, mm-hmm. you get in that mindset of, well, if I don't do it, no one else is going to. Or if I don't do it, they're not going to do it the way that I want it done, or whatever.
Right.
So a lot of companies don't grow at all because the owners of it are that away. They're 100%, I'm not going to do anything else other than this. I want to be the guy that's physically doing it. To whereas if they would step back and be the CEO and try to find qualified people to run their business, they could have a better quality of life, mm-hmm. reap the same rewards, and be able to do it longer. I don't know look, I don't know how that would work with your business, because yours is significantly different than anything I've ever done.
Right.
But I couldn't imagine that doing the work that you do. I couldn't imagine trying to be 70 or 65 and trying to do it, you know?
My dad's no spring chicken.
I know.
And he'll still get out there and he'll cut timber.
I look at my dad, we go cut wood, and look, I'm not slow by any means. Yeah. And I'll look over and I'll stop for a second to take a break, and he's still cutting. I'm like, well, I guess I better get back to work, because if he's still doing it, I need to get after it.
He's still raising you.
Yeah.
By example.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the things that I do now is I look to him, and he's still setting an example and letting me realize that you can't be lazy, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If my dad's done anything for me, he's taught me that. And my dad's done a ton of stuff for me, but yeah. I don't want that to sound terrible. He's taught me that if you want it, you got to go get it. There isn't nobody coming to save you. You are your savior. Go get it. If you want it, go get it. I'm not talking spiritually, okay?
Right.
Because I think that that's important too. Not everybody may, whatever. But I do. And so, if you want something out of life, you have to go make it happen.
Right.
I'm not going to sit back and let a good thing happen or wait for a good thing to happen. I'm going to go chase them.
Right.
I'm going to go figure it out how to make them happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't see that for our business as far as neither one of us being hands-on.
Right.
It's hard to find people to cut timber.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's hard to turn someone loose cutting timber and waiting on them to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still learning every day. There's still things that I do wrong, and I've been cutting for almost 4 years, 3.5 years, or whatever. And it's just hard to put someone's life in your hands like that,
Right.
knowing how dangerous it is. I mean, so I don't know, man. One of us, but I mean, there's going to come a point in time where, I mean, and we have other guys that do cut, but they've been cutting a long time.
Right.
You can't just throw someone green in there, like I was green.
Right.
But I would definitely like to get to a point where Dad is less hands-on.
Yeah.
As far as physically. Anytime I can, I do.
Yeah.
But
one thing that stood out to me, and Jimmy and I talked about this, when I reached out to you about playing softball, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you that it was like an coming to Jesus moment for me.
yeah.
I asked if you want to play softball, and you want to. I get that you wanted to. And you said, but I can't, because I have X amount of dollars worth of logs that we have scheduled to get cut. And if I hurt myself doing that, I can't let it just be my dad.
Yeah.
For me as an individual, I needed to hear that, because there's been things that I've done, not since then, but prior to that I looked at and I'm like, man, you dummy.
Yeah.
How selfish of you. And it was super unselfish of you to be that way. And you opened my eyes to something that I didn't know that I needed at the time. So that was cool for me.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you never know when you're going to pick something up that you needed to hear.
Right.
But yeah, I think about that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because he is the type, and I mean, there's bills that still need paid, and he'll get out there and he'll do it.
Yeah.
If he has to. I hurt my back a while back, and he cut, I don't remember, he cut like 100 trees in like 2 or 3 days.
Jesus.
And I can't remember the last time I did that.
Right.
And I hurt my back. I don't remember what I did now. But that's what you have to think about. That's another thing you have to think about running a business where it's just you and,
Yeah.
a couple guys.
Yep.
Because if you get seriously hurt, well, the bills are still going to come in. The bank's still going to want paid.
Yeah.
And timber is a lot of investment. We buy timber and we may not cut it for 2 years.
Right.
We're not talking about a little bit of money.
No. I didn't realize there was as much money as there. And had you not told me that number, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
It blows my mind if there's that kind of money in timber.
You got to think. I mean, everything.
No, I get it. The chairs we're sitting
It
in
makes
today have
sense
wood.
but you don't think about it.
Right.
You don't think that this was a tree.
Right.
It's a table.
Right.
But everything.
Yeah.
A lot of our stuff, it gets shipped to China. The higher valued stuff gets shipped overseas usually.
Right.
But there's a lot that goes here too.
Right.
We ship a lot up here to Seymour, to
Really?
the handle factory.
Really?
They make ship all of our red oak and ash, some hickory, and sugar maple. They'll buy that stuff for handles.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we need them to. Honestly, what we need right now, we need it to rain for about a month.
We do need some rain. As much as I hate rain.
Well, we need it because the mill. It was so dry all fall. The mills are full.
Yeah.
Log prices dropped. Mills are full. They don't want any logs.
Right.
So we need it to get wet and then to keep sawing.
So that you can take yours in.
It's part of the gamble, man.
So one thing that I want to circle back to is you have 4 children, right? Are they all biologically yours?
No.
Okay.
So,
One other thing that I have, we'll get into
Go
that.
ahead,
I don't want to disrupt that, but with you going down the addiction road, obviously you missed some things.
oh, dude.
So how does that affect the way you parent?
Okay, so it affects. It used to be worse than it is now. I've learned that I'm here now.
Right.
I can't change anything from then, but I can be a good parent from here forward.
Right.
Right. Part of being a good parent is making those hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Your yes is being yes and your no is being no's. And that's one of the things I struggle with the most. I'll be like, no, you can't do that. And then within 2 minutes, I feel bad.
Right.
You know. It affected me with parenting Lainey because I was trying to make up for lost time, you know, because I wasn't around her for 4 years. And I missed a lot.
Right.
You know, and what these other 3 that I raise now, it gives me a chance to be a dad at that stage.
Right.
You know, and their dads aren't around, so I am dad.
Yeah.
And they all look at me as dad, and I'm blessed for that.
Something that I started doing, and again, I was reading a book or listening to something that's come across, and I took it with me. But I've never been a parent at the stage that I am currently. So before I make rash decisions or big decisions, only recently, I take a minute before I give an answer, because my son is 11, getting ready to be 12 in February, and I've never been a parent to a 12-year-old boy before.
Right.
So I don't want to do anything. I just want to guide him in the best that I can. So I try to take that breather for a second.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately for me, I have 2 other young boys. Now they're totally different, and I have to parent them different.
Right.
But I raised Trayton through those years. So to have the 4 year that you lapse
Yeah.
would be, in my eyes, would be difficult in some instances.
It is, because it's such a fine line, you know.
Yeah.
It's a fine line between, you don't want them to resent you, but you want to guide them because you know that it's for most of the time it's for the best interest.
Right.
And everything goes into it, right? Being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like how my day went a lot of times will depict how I am toward them.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks.
I do everything that I can in my power to, whenever I leave here and I go home, when I get out of my vehicle at the house, I do everything in my power to leave my baggage in my vehicle.
It's tough.
It is tough. Sometimes I do great.
Yep.
And sometimes, like yesterday, I got home and Cass is like, "Why are you so standoffish tonight?" I'm like, "I didn't realize I was."
Yeah.
You know, I apologize. Thank you for bringing it to me so that now that I can try to readjust.
Yeah. It's hard to hit that reset button.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But what I try to do a lot of times is put myself in their shoes.
Right.
I try to remember how I felt and what I thought when I was their age. And it helps me a lot because then I'll be like, oh, that's why. That's
Right.
why they did that or said that or acted that way or whatever. But I don't know, man. I still feel like I'm growing up myself.
Same.
It's hard for me to put myself in a mindset that like I am who I I am my parents back when I was their age.
Right.
You know, like, because I still feel like I'm growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird getting older.
So I had a conversation. This has been 4 or 5 years ago, but when I left North Vernon and moved to Columbus. I lived there for 6 years, and while I lived in Columbus, my oldest son Trayton had a fit. I was on the road all the time, and something that I won't do anymore is I'm not taking a job to where I have to be gone 3 or 4 nights a week ever again. Not happening, because I saw a decline in my boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I took, but while I was out back in those days when I was beating the pavement down trying to make a living for them, my son went through he was pissed off about something, grabbed a Hot Wheel and threw it. It just happened to hit a window. Thankfully it was double pane, and he didn't throw it hard enough to bust both, but he busted the inside pane.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to have to put a new window in. And so I was on my way home, and I was talking to my dad, and I was just talking to him about my day, and then I brought that up. So I just want you to know when I get home, your grandson's getting a whipping. Like, he done this, blah, blah. And my dad stopped me dead in my tracks and said, don't whip him. He said, I'll pay for the window. That boy didn't know no better. And I thought, who the hell am I talking to? Because when I was that age,
Yeah.
you would have, look, I'd have gotten whip-ins, not one, multiple. And I would have been able to sit down for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And and I told him that, and he said, son, he said, I done some things wrong when I was your age parenting. And now I'm man enough that I can tell you that, and that as I've gotten older, I've seen that. And so for me, that was huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say that all the time. You know, I feel like being a parent, you take the good that you knew,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then you take what you think, how things made you feel that you wish were different,
Right.
and you apply all that together and do the best you can.
Right.
And
It's crapshoot.
yeah, and that's the thing about going back to addiction. I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
Aside from my mom struggled with alcohol, I don't want to really put her business out there,
Right.
but it's part of my story, you know. But as far as my home life, I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
It doesn't discriminate, you know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I want to do is I want to get involved in talking in schools, because that's where it started for me.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, I mean, you don't have to grow up bad to find yourself addicted to anything.
Right.
And I think it's important for kids. That's part of what's going to help me make it make sense,
Right.
you know.
So one of my long-term goals is I want to start speaking to schools.
Yeah.
Long term, I'd like to have a program that we put into schools that teach them the fundamentals of life. I think that's one thing that schools don't teach. They teach you history, and they teach you math, and they teach you all those things, but they don't teach you how to apply any of those principles to life. And I wish that there was a program, or at least they did whenever I went to school.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a program that was not optional. I wish it was, you have to take this class to graduate. That was a, you know, for your whole semester, you started out with X amount of dollars. You have work per se. You have these bills you got to pay, blah, 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 and try to help young kids learn how to navigate that,
Mm-hmm.
and include credit prior to then.
I swear the only class that I used to this day that we took in high school was business math.
Oh yeah, with Mr. Cummings.
Yeah. It's literally the only thing I can think back to what I learned in school that I applied to my daily life.
Right.
I mean, it's good to know things about history and where we come from, but that's not preparing anybody for real life.
No, and I believe that our school system, the only thing our school system does is, I think you learn some things. I think you learn how to fit in, how to make friends, how to choose friends, that kind of thing. There's some important life lessons that happen at school. A lot of bad that happens at school.
Right.
But the thing that I hate about schools is it sets you up to be a factory worker. Look, you have to be here at 8 o'clock. You're taking lunch. This is your lunchtime. This is your, in elementary school, this is your recess or your break.
Right.
And then this is whenever you go home.
I never thought of it like that, but yeah. It's true. I don't know, man.
So I just wish there was a better way. And I'm sure there is. As far as I know, the school system hasn't really evolved over the years. I think they've changed some things, they've added some courses, but school is the same way that it used to be years ago, other than now you have tablets and iPads versus books.
Right. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's part of, I don't know. I feel like that's part of learning responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Make
and
sure
that's,
you have each book. Make sure you. So.
and it's, you know, the computers teach some responsibility. You gotta make sure they're plugged in. But the one thing about books was you had to take care of them. You had to make sure you had them. So I think there was some responsibility aside of it that was great, but
Right. World's different though.
it has changed so much in the last 5 years. I can't imagine where it's gonna be in the next 20.
Oh yeah. And if you listen to Joe Rogan, there's all kinds.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the, I don't know. It makes you think
Yeah,
of what stuff's gonna be like.
yeah,
But I don't know. As long as people keep building houses and buying timber, we'll be all right.
right. So, we'll wrap this up here. If there was two things that you could share, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be about life, it can be about addiction, it can be about business. If there's two things that you could share that could possibly help somebody, what would one of them be? What would they be?
One would be, and I heard this, I'd love to take credit for it, but as far as life goes, a buddy of mine that I was in a rehab with, he said, in life, you have very few major successes.
Yeah,
You know, you have kids, get married, get your dream job, buy a house. But it's all the small victories that get you to that major success. And that's always stuck with me, you know, just like through each day, you have small victories.
Yep.
And that's what gets you to where you want to be. The other thing, never underestimate the power of a seed. Just like you pick up little bits here and there, or what I said to you about playing softball.
right.
Like, never underestimate the power of a seed.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that you know, you could leave here and say something to someone and it may help them. You never know.
Right.
You know. So I try to do that with addicts, people that I know are struggling. But those are the two things that come to my mind more than anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But keep fighting the good fight. Anybody that's out there struggling, man, keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Don't quit.
don't quit. Just keep going.
Yeah.
It will get better.
Yeah.
And normal life problems, like that's, people claim they have all these issues, but, or things are hard, but it's really not.
No.
It's just normal.
Yeah.
Normal life problems are not hard problems, I promise you.
Yes.
I promise. And it feels good to have a mortgage to pay. It feels good to have a beautiful fiance to go home to, kids to raise, and all the things that seem like they suck really don't suck.
Right. Yeah, whenever you can shift life and be thankful for everything, man, it's beautiful.
It's free. I'm free, man.
Yeah.
I'm free, and I don't take it for granted. I take each day, and every hard day at work, every easy day at work, hard day at home, easy day at home. I love every minute of it.
Yeah, same here. For me, there's nothing more rewarding than just getting up in the morning and being like, oh man, I get to start a new day.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people dread Mondays. I hate the weekends.
Yeah.
I prefer Mondays because I get to go back to the grind. It's time to go back to work.
Right.
A lot of people look forward to, thank God it's Friday. I get 2 days off. I hate days off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate it that I hate it, but I prefer to take my off moments, per se, in the form of getting to spend it with my kids doing something they love.
Right.
So if on the weekend we get to go do something like that, then cool. But just to be off, just to sit around the house,
No.
that's not for me.
I need it sometimes for my body to
There's-
recuperate.
My body tells me, hey, it's time to have a day,
Yeah.
and I'm cool with that. It may take, and it's different for me. It's not always every 6 days or every 7 days. Sometimes it's a month in, and I'm like, okay, I need a mental day. It's time to chill out and relax. But
We try to make Sundays usually as our, especially when I'm real busy.
Right.
You know, Sundays we try to make that our day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you in your relationship you need time where it's your day.
Yeah.
You know? We've kind of gotten away from that with when I'm not as busy because we spend more time together.
right,
But usually Sundays are our day. But today I'm doing a podcast and she's shopping. Or whatever.
right. So for us, what we found, and kudos to my wife because she hates going to the gym, but my schedule for the day, right? I asked you what yours looked like. My schedule is my alarm goes off at 6, then I don't get out of bed at 6. I get out of bed 6:30, 6:45. Get up. She usually gets out of bed a little bit earlier, me 6:15 or so, because she has to leave a little earlier than I do. She'll get out of bed. She'll get the kids up. I'll get out of bed. I'll make sure the kids are getting ready. I'll hop in the shower. She tries to cook us something for breakfast, something small at least.
You guys cook breakfast?
Yes, we just started,
Dude, I can't imagine.
and it's nothing crazy. She'll make me eggs and turkey bacon, something
I still
simple.
can't even imagine that.
Right. Well, hey, if she didn't do it, there's no way. that I could.
I don't. I mean, that's awesome. Don't you? I usually don't eat breakfast, but
Yeah.
anyways, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just picture this great little American family,
Right.
making bacon and eggs in the morning before work.
Right. So I will do that, and then she'll go to work. I'll finish, like I'll take a shower, get ready for the day. I'll load the wood stove, and then I'll take the kids to school. I take them to school. I go to work all day, come home, do whatever the kids need of an evening, whether it's Ryland does tumbling and stuff a couple nights a week. Boys have baseball practice, just family stuff, right? Of an evening when I get home from 6:30 till 8:30 is nothing but their time.
Right.
It's only 2 hours, but I'm 100% there for them at that point now.
Right.
It didn't used to be that way, but now it's that way.
Had to set boundaries, right?
Yes. We put them to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock. They go to their rooms. I'm not telling you they go to sleep because they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we put them to bed. Cass and I will, at that point, get around and we'll go to the gym. That's a 2-hour process because it takes 25 minutes to get to the gym. We work out for 45 minutes to an hour, come home, and then you have some wind down time. That 2 hours has been instrumental in our relationship
Right.
because that's 2 hours that it's just us.
Mm-hmm.
There's no distractions. When I go to the gym, even if I run into some people that I know, look, I'll have a conversation with you for a couple minutes, but I got to keep it moving. I'm not there for you. I'm there for me, but I'm there to spend some quality time with my wife and get an exercise in.
Right.
And then we'll come home, and then usually I'm home 11:15, and then after the gym, I cannot just go to sleep. So for about 45 minutes, I'm wound up and ready to go. So I'll do something with our businesses, and then we'll go down and go to bed.
Yeah, that's what makes. There's another reason that we did Sundays was because she works pretty much a second shift. She's a bartender.
Okay.
And
Where's she work at?
Chili's in Greensburg.
Okay.
And we've tried to go. She's tried to get a normal, and you just can't compete with the money.
No.
It is ridiculous.
It's crazy how much servers make.
She makes better money than I do.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine that's a server. I won't put her name out there or anything like that, but she makes $70,000 a year. She don't work anywhere big either,
Right.
but
Yeah, it's crazy.
she does great.
Yeah. And I mean, she'll work 3 days a week and make, over $1,000.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah, which is great. But those 3 nights a week, we don't see each other. She don't see the kids.
Right.
That's why she's tried to find a job that's a normal, but I mean, for the money that she makes and the hours that she has to put in, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, we just deal with it. So we try to make a day where we just spend time together, but
Right.
it's tough, man. It's tough raising it's tough raising kids and doing everything that needs to be done, but then still making time for you. And you get wrapped up, right?
You do.
You're wrapped up just putting so much time into them and whatever else that you forget about each other.
Right.
Then you're acting like roommates,
Right.
you know. So
And that's no fun.
no, but you make it through.
Yep.
I got a couple friends. Other than that, she's my only friend.
Yeah.
And the only other friends that I have are family. I don't really talk to anybody or anything like that.
I know a ton of people,
Me too.
but I have 3 friends,
That's what I got.
and I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
Some things that I'd like to gain a couple friendships per se in 2023. What I want is I want to find a group of 5 people, me included, me and that 5, so me and 4 other people
Right.
that are hustlers, entrepreneurs, fathers, and once a month just kind of get together and talk about what we're doing in business or just in general be there for each other.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
have some you time.
Right. And this is part of that. The whole podcast deal is part of that kind of my time, and it's halfway therapeutic for me.
Oh, me too. It's been great.
But I want to build a group, and if I don't get 5 and I only get 3, whatever.
Right.
But I want a group of individuals, don't have to be just guys, a group of individuals that are just dedicated to bettering their life, because I have found that it is easier to win in life with a group of people versus an individual.
Well, you go to Rome, you start acting like a Roman, right?
Right. And you are a product of your environment.
Yeah. You hang around successful people, you will be successful.
That is correct. There's nothing more. I never want to be the top dog in my group, ever. I want to be the last or towards the bottom, because then that means I'm in the right room.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of what I want in this year, is just to find that group of core people to be able to do that with and grow with, and even be able to call up on a Tuesday evening and say, hey man, I'm struggling. I'm not struggling with anything that really you can help me with, as much as I just need a 15-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find. You got to find people that you trust, because you want to be able to lay everything out there.
Right.
And so that'll be difficult. It'll be interesting to see what 2023 holds for us.
Well, the hardest thing with that though is admitting that you need a 15-minute conversation. Right?
That's the hardest part,
Yeah.
because everybody looks at it as manly.
Yeah.
It's not manly to talk about your problems
Yeah.
or
Bottle it up.
bottle it up, bear it on yourself.
And
that's wrong.
I'm bad about that.
Me too. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
And I'm self-aware enough to know that, hey, that's a behavior that I need to change.
Yeah.
Because I don't want my boys to be
And
that
even
way.
in the middle of it, you're like, I shouldn't do that.
Right.
But you just, pride's stupid, right?
Yeah. All right, man, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, there was a lot I wanted to talk about, man. I jumped around a lot, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate you giving me a shot to come on here, and I want to give a shout out to my family, my friends, and the people that root for me, and the people who are proud of me and are no longer looking at me, waiting on me to fail.
Yeah.
Because there's still people out there that are. But in time and through my actions, I think that I'll change people's minds, even the ones that still doubt me.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up on 4 years now, and I'm not going back. Anybody who's struggling with addiction, if you have any questions, if you want to pick my brain, you can get a hold of me on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
I will do my best to help anybody, but I will not put my own sobriety at risk to do it. But yeah, man, I'm really thankful for life and being able to live now, and my family, my kids, my fiance, they all make me who I am.
Yeah.
I really appreciate everybody that believes in me.
And I've said it before, but dude, I'm proud of you.
Appreciate that.
You've come a long way.
Yeah.
The AJ that I remember from high school is not an AJ that I'm sitting across from today, which is super.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. And also, anybody that has any timber they need looked at, you can get a hold of me at Wilson Timber Consulting. My name is AJ, 812-718-6594, or my dad's number is 812-767-0993. We'd love to take a look at your timber for you.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, with that, today's podcast is brought to you by Legacy Trailer Rentals, LLC, out of North Vernon, Indiana. If you need a trailer to haul your car or dump trailer or whatever kind of trailer you're searching for, reach out, 812-873-5218. And as always, if you need your timber cut, don't forget about WTC. They would love to help you out. So with that, we'll catch you on the next episode.